the lights on for this one, ladies and gentlemen, because this topic is interesting. So, round about July month, we started seeing a new general practitioner after the many general practitioners we've been seeing over the last 5-6 years. And when we went to her, she knew a lot of the things that we were explaining. She knew a lot more info than all of the surgeons and doctors and GPs that we've seen in the past. And she was able to say, you know what, she's gonna get me on an appointment with a dietitian so we can see how that goes. And then she even was like, have you been to a physician before? And I looked at her, and I've heard the word physician, but I never really thought of looking into it. So she was like, well, a physician basically knows way more than your average doctor and will know where to look more than a surgeon, because a surgeon just looks for things to cut or surgically get into. And they wouldn't have known if there's anything to cut if they don't know what the problem is. And that's the problem we had been facing for the last 5 or 6 years. So yeah, it was amazing to find that she actually knew these things and she made appointments. And before you know it, we went to the dietitian. And what the dietitian did was so cool. Basically, she let me stand on it looked like a scale, but the scale had some sort of a pole that came up that you must put your arms on. It was so cool. And when you stood on it, it took your weight, but it didn't just take your weight. It looked at your weight, but it also looked at the amount, percentages of muscle that's in the body that contributes to the weight. It looked at the amount of fat in the body, but then it also looked at the amount of protein and all these things. And it was so interesting because when I went into my surgeon years ago, and I went into the next surgeon, I went to the next doctor, and every single time they weighed me, they went according to the BMI. And according to the BMI, I am obese. According to the BMI. Then what was so interesting was when she weighed me, she saw, okay, you do weigh a lot, but then she put in all the things and whatnot. Turns out, did I have more fat in my body than I was supposed to? Yeah. But I had even more protein in my body, more muscle in my body than is normal, which is good. But it would have been nice to have known that, because for a doctor to look at you and go, oh, you're obese. How's that supposed to motivate the person to lose weight? Really? Pros and cons, bro. Pros and cons. So she just indicated, okay, you just need to lose this amount and that's that, and keep doing what you're doing because the protein is this, and I just thought, wow. Wow. Thank you. Because it really gives you a sense of body dysmorphia, because, and I admit I still have it sometimes, I have been doing my exercises so good, and I've been taking my time with it. I haven't been rushing with it because my body has to obviously get used to it, and I need to rebuild my stamina and everything. But I've been doing good. I used to do it every 7 days, and then say I did it again 5 days later and 4 days later. So now I do it maybe every 3 days or so, which is very good. And yeah, so it's don't just tell your patients, hello, you're fat. Don't do that. I want to see the percentages of the crap that you're saying. I want proof. And thanks to all the bad, unethical and misdiagnosis and all that, I want proof. Just like that hooter. I want proof. But mostly when we saw this dietitian, basically what she did was she helped with meal planning and she helped with portion sizing. And it was crazy because that means corn is starch. And don't get confused. I know you get a thing called corn starch, but corn, as we say in South Africa, mielies, corn is starch. And if y'all don't know what starch is normally like fatty stuff or whatnot that like takes longer to digest in the body and whatnot. And basically that's why they say don't eat a lot of potatoes, don't eat a lot of starch, corn. But anyway, so we went to see her, we sorted that out, and it turns out the things that we had been changing and doing ourselves has been better than what the doctors have been doing. It's like, don't lose your mind, girl. Because we started adjusting everything ourselves after the lovely misinformation we kept getting for over 5 years. So it's good to know that we were on track. Then our GP also made an appointment with a physician, which we luckily got to see in September, and he checked everything and he asked, obviously we did certain tests before and whatnot, and he was looking at all of the results. I went in for blood tests and they did stool tests because they tried to figure out where the hell is the blood going. If you're confused, I did a video about this before of my health journey and all the nonsense that we've had to do. And they couldn't figure out where my blood was going because it's like, I'm trying to think how can I put it in short terms. Basically, the last stage in the menstrual cycle when the periods are supposed to start, I'm so sorry to the guys watching this, where the periods are supposed to start, my body don't go there, it stays at the second last thing. And I'm also on the pill to help stop the bleeding, so I actually haven't had my periods in 2 years, so the bleeding has not been going there, and they couldn't figure out where the hell is the bleeding going. So the physician said it could be something like angiodysplasia, if I'm not mistaken, where there could be a blood vessel that is bleeding on the inside, like in your small intestine, in your colon or whatnot. And the way they have to pick that up is first through stool tests, and I did it once and they found nothing. This was now three years ago or something. And what we then realized is after they did the stool test again with this new physician, they found blood in the stool, which did indicate internal bleeding. And that basically was their sign that, okay, they're going to do a capsule endoscopy, which is like a tablet this small that you swallow. It has a camera in it and it goes through everything. It goes through the stomach lining, it goes through the small intestine, big intestine, all of that stuff. And it basically will take pictures all the way down, and you'll be wearing like a belt, if I'm not mistaken. They said some sort of a belt that will have a device that's connected to the camera via Bluetooth, and it will send all the images through there, which is very cool. This will be the way that they actually see exactly where it's bleeding, and from there they'll know exactly what to do, how they're going to close it, how they're going to repair it. If it has to be surgery, I pray to God that after all the things they've done to me this last 5 years, that I don't have to do surgery. Please God, I've been through enough. So yeah, and we realized that after the stool test, when they found blood, because they also did blood tests and it had shown that my blood had dropped, my hemoglobin had dropped, and my storage iron was low, which you said was odd. Even though I do take iron supplements every second day, I don't take it every day anymore because it actually causes constipation, and I was so impacted that I could have died twice. So better safe than sorry. Sorry guys for the TMI. I'm trying to go through it so you don't have to listen to that kind of stuff. So yeah, what we realized is that when they did the gastroscopies and the colonoscopies and the checking and the scans and the ultrasounds and everything that they've done, all of that was done when everything in the body was cleaned out. So they wouldn't have found any blood, which kind of pissed me off. Basically, them trying to do the proper procedure is why they couldn't find anything. Blows your mind. And then when they did the stool test back then, that was already after they had done the full cleaning out. So anything that was coming through that week was still completely clean. So that's how they didn't find anything. And catching up to now, that's how they found it now. And I don't know where I'm going to be posting this, but I will post updates afterwards of what happens after the capsule endoscopy. Wish me luck, guys. Hope it goes well.